Hey everybody, my name is Pig, and today we're talking about an all-new free-to-play game called Ultimechs. Free? Did you say free? I said free. How the hell is this game for free? What's the hype? Upload VR's calling this thing Rocket League VR. Boom! Can you consider that for just a minute? Rocket League inside of the virtual reality would be intense. It would be amazing. It would be insane, and it would rely a lot on skill. That's what we're dealing with here. That's what we've got on our hands here today. You better be ready to finish your plate because Pig's not letting you take anything back to the kitchen. Guys, in Ultimechs, you have to have skill. If you're looking to jump into a game very quickly, get some very cool moments, and not have to put much time or effort into learning the way that the game works, then let me tell you, keep on scrolling. Ultimechs is not for you. Ultimechs is a skill-based VR game, guys. You need to put the time in. You gotta understand how the ball will move in the virtual space. As far as features go, Ultimechs for a free game has a lot of them. Now, I'm not talking about world-changing features new to VR or anything, but I am talking about player customization, various maps, and a social feature. Guys, within Ultimechs, you get 3 different mechs. One is called Viper, one is Nitro, and the other one is called Titan. As you can imagine, they do 3 different things. All of them serve the same basic function, which is to run around the virtual soccer-like space and knock the ball into the other person's goal, but it's the way that they actually do that which changes from mech to mech. So we're gonna talk more about the statistics and the actual damage that each mech can do and take here in just a little bit, so stay tuned. As far as the other features of the game goes, there is a battle pass. It's called the UltiPass, and what that allows you to do is it allows you to gain XP a lot faster. It allows you to get more unlockables for your mechs. So essentially, there's this whole customization side of the game that you can do for your mechs, and you can make your mechs look pretty damn cool. I've seen several that just, at first glance, I was a little bit intimidated, especially when you're in VR and you got this 16-foot giant robot standing in front of you with dice hanging out of its hands and all sorts of stuff. You can also buddy up with your friends. The social feature we were mentioning earlier functions quite nicely. It's a very simple system. You send an invite to a buddy, you get paired up in the game as friends, and then you can invite them to your party from there. From that point, you can join a 2v2 online in an unranked match. Currently, as of October 6th, there is no ranked matches yet, but it is coming. If you guys check out their Discord, you'll see that. In addition to that, though, you can play in a 1v1 with your buddy. But if you'd rather, like most of us do, then you'd want to take your buddy into battle with you and find 2 plebs on the internet that you could smash. Now, once you actually hit the play space, you're going to realize pretty quickly it's a very large place. There's a lot going on. So let's start breaking it down. First off, you've got the actual game board. On a small map, there are 31 different spaces you can move between. On the large map, there are 51 different spaces. On the sidelines, you've got your audience, but in addition to that, you've also got the announcement board for any goal that is made or change in round. There are a couple of different rounds you can have. We'll talk more about that one here in just a bit. Now, the most important thing about the game space is the goals, the end zones on each side of the field. That's where you want to be pushing the ball to. There's a few things you can do, though, to try to make that easier. Guys, first thing you want to do is try to get first touch on the ball. As soon as that timer starts counting down, I'm up in the front row. I've got both hands out aiming at 2 different ball spawn positions, and I'm willing and waiting for that timer to hit 0. Once the timer hits 0, there's only about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds until the ball spawns. Now, once that ball spawns, if you squeeze your trigger as hard as you can while aiming perfectly at it, you should be able, unless of course your enemy does the same, to get first hit. Now, when you get that first hit, you're going to want to then immediately start moving towards that goal. You don't want to move too close so that you can't see the ball, but you do want to start getting a little bit closer so that when the ball comes down from that initial hit, you can then get the first contact on it again and hopefully knock it into the enemy's goal. Now, let's just say it comes down on one of the sides. Absolutely move towards those sides and then make a follow-up connection shot. If you're quick and accurate, then you should be able to continuously be touching the ball and keep your enemy from getting any hands on it whilst you do this. After a few seconds of moving around on the field, you're going to notice some orange glowing balls spawn in. Those are your power-ups. But hold on one second, you're not ready for power-ups yet because you've still got to understand how the hell your health works. The health system and heads-up display in Ultimechs is quite intuitive. On the top left and top right, you're going to see some white bars with an angle in it. That indicates to you how long it's going to be until your arm is ready to fire again once you have fired your Gauntjet. The text at the bottom of the screen would be your health percentage. Once that reaches 0, your mech will be destroyed and you're going to be forced back into the lobby screen. You'll be at the lobby screen for 8 seconds and you can decide whether or not you want to continue the battle with the same mech or swap out for a different one. Now that you understand the way the health system works, let's talk about power-ups. Power-ups are the orange glowing balls that you're going to find on the field. Each one of them will give you an additional 10% HP, but if you're looking to heal up, make sure that you use your power-up before collecting another one, as they do not stack until you have used the power-up. As far as the power-ups go, there is a different power-up for each mech. Viper's power-up is a laser beam, which when fired at the ball will send the ball flying in the direction of the laser. With Nitro's power-up, there's a small explosion, which means that if you activate the power-up while the Gauntjet is next to the ball, it's going to send the ball flying. But if you activate the power-up while it's next to an enemy, it's going to do substantial damage. We'll talk about the exact amount of damage here in a bit. Last but certainly not least would be Titan. Now Titan's power-up is a little bit different because it can be used for both an offensive tool and a defensive tool. Let's talk about the defense for a second. If you decide to use Titan's power-up in front of the goal, what's going to happen is it's going to ask you to choose a tile, and you can only choose a tile that's directly beside you or diagonal to you, and it will literally make an impenetrable shield that the ball cannot pass through. That's absolutely right, guys. The ball cannot pass through this shield as long as it is activated. And there is no timer on the activation either. That thing could stay up the entire game. It also functions as a shield for you. So while you're within the shield zone, you can't get damaged, but you can damage outwardly. Now, when you're within the shield, if you are taking attacks, just so you know, it only can sustain so much damage, so it will get you by with, I believe, like 4 to 8 shots, depending on if they're power-ups. But eventually it will start to fade away, and you'll see that happening, so you do get some heads up on that. But it's amazing at blocking the ball. That's what it's really there for. It will block the ball. Now let's talk about the offensive side of Titan's power-up. If you happen to get an enemy who is just next to you, or you can get next to an enemy quick enough to have that enemy sit tight for anywhere between 1 to 3 seconds and use that power-up, it is going to do insane damage. The only mech that can survive past 2 seconds of being within the enemy's shield is Titan. Titan can last 3 seconds inside of an enemy shield zone. As soon as you use Titan's power-up on a tile that is being occupied by an enemy, that enemy is going to start losing health, and fast. Now let's break down the health for each mech, each shot, and each power-up. If you're playing as a Viper going against another Viper, you will both be killed and kill in 6.25 shots. Every 1 shot will deal 16% damage, with 1 power-up shot giving you an 84% damage, which means if you're playing against another Viper, you can use 1 power-up and 1 fist and eliminate that player for an open, easy goal. If you're playing as Viper against Nitro, it'll be 6.25 shots until you're dead, and you'll need to deal 8.3 shots to eliminate your Nitro. Each shot will deal 12% damage, and 1 power-up shot will deal 65% damage. If you're going as Viper against Titan, you're also only going to be able to withstand 6.25 shots. They don't kill you any easier for being in a Titan. You die with 6.25 shots against all enemies as Viper. Now you will be able to deal 8% damage per shot to that Titan, and you'll be able to eliminate them in 12.5 shots. Every 1 power-up shot against a Titan will deal 49% damage. If you're playing as Nitro, going against a Viper, you will only have 8.3 shots until you're dead, and you'll need to take 6.25 shots to eliminate them. Every shot will deal 16% damage, and 1 power-up shot will deal 84% damage. If you're playing as Nitro against another Nitro, you can both eliminate that Nitro and be eliminated in 9.09 shots. Each shot will deal 11% damage, and 1 power-up shot will deal 65% damage. If you're playing as Nitro against Titan, then you've got 6.25 shots until you die, just the same as Viper. It will take 12.5 shots to eliminate that Titan. At 8% damage per shot, Titan is the strongest player of the game. 1 power-up shot against a Titan as a Nitro will give you 49% damage on him. Now let's just say you want to play as Titan, the big Kihane, the big man. You know what I'm talking about, the guy everybody wants to be. That guy is a tank. Going against a Viper, you're going to be able to withstand 12.5 shots. It's going to only take 6.25 shots to eliminate them, and it gives you 16% damage for every shot. One power-up shot will deal 65% damage per second. If you're playing as Titan against Nitro, you'll be dead in 12.5 seconds. With 6.25 shots to eliminate that Nitro, you're dealing 16% damage for every shot. One power-up shot on the Nitro will give you 50% damage per second. Now, if you're playing as a Titan going against another Titan, you'll be able to eliminate that Titan and be eliminated in 8.3 shots. Every one shot will deal 12% damage, and one power-up shot against a Titan will allow that Titan to survive for 3 entire seconds inside of your shield zone. Only 33% damage per second, giving them plenty of time to escape. All right, Pig, we are on information overload right now. Holy shit, I don't know what to do with all of this. Well, luckily, Ultimechs does come with a really cool feature. It's their practice mode. That way you can jump out onto the field and just get the hang of the game. The first thing I recommend you do is start pressing the trigger. Literally just look as far as you can, squeeze the trigger, and see what happens. Once you've done that a few times, start letting off of the trigger a little bit more and more as you fire it. You're gonna quickly realize that how hard you press the trigger determines how fast the Gauntjet will go. Once you've mastered the fine art of feathering the trigger, I recommend you start adding some wrist movement. The direction of your wrist will determine the direction that the Gauntjet flies. So in other words, if you fire early, then you could lay off the trigger a little bit, slow it down, and then use your wrist to direct the Gauntjet into the ball. That really adds for some interesting plays when you start bringing the potential for esports into this, which leads me to my question for all of you out there in YouTube land. Those of you who have made it this far, do you think Ultimechs has the potential for esports? And do you think it has replayability? My personal answer would be yes. I think that there's a huge market, a high potential for esports for this game. I am really into it so far. I could definitely see playing it again on the regular with the community. But I want to know your guys' thoughts. What do you think? Now, before we wrap things up, I want to take a sec to talk about the development of this game, where it could be headed, the developers themselves, and all of that good stuff. Ultimechs is made by Resolution Games. You guys may or may not have heard of that name before, but they are responsible for some pretty cool titles. They're most well known for Demio, which is essentially Dungeons & Dragons VR. We have a community member, Land626, who is really big into that for a little while, and according to him, it was pretty great. Resolution Games is also known for Angry Birds Isle of Pigs VR. Gonna have to check that one out, obviously. And it looked like a pretty great Angry Birds simulator. Essentially, it's just like Angry Birds, but it's in VR. So that's a really cool one too. They've also got a couple of other games, Akron as well as Blaston, so they're no rookie to developing VR games. Resolution Games has been around for a while. I did a little bit of research on them, and they are responsible for really cool stuff. So overall, I think that the actual development team is solid. In addition to that, they are backed by a really solid Discord community. In their Discord, they have a Discord bug forum. I checked that place out. In fact, I checked out the entire Discord before making this video, and I scoped out for any potential problems, and all I saw was great ways to resolve problems. Guys, there's an entire bug section on there if you want. If you find something that needs addressing, pop it in there, because the developers are active on their Discord. I was able to go search for my problem using the search function, and I was able to find where somebody else had asked the exact same issue, and a developer had already provided a resolution. In addition to the bug forum section of the Discord, they also have a balanced discussion section, which means that if you think something's unfair, they are more than willing to hear you out and listen to your suggestions. They have an entire discussion section about that. So if you have any input for balancing of this game, pop it in there. Now, another really good thing to note is that this game was just released 3 weeks ago on September 15th. And in 3 weeks, they've already released an update. That update contained a lot of fixes, nothing really new in terms of the actual gameplay, but it did fix a lot of the headaches that some of the players were seeing out there involving the Gauntjets and various different bugs. At this point, if you guys are still watching, oh my God, thank you so much for coming this far into the video. I really enjoy this game, and I see a huge potential for it in the future. I hope you do too, and obviously, you must see something in this game if you've made it this far. So thanks for watching. Please feel free to hit that beautiful like button. They just added a really cool new thing down there where it glows red, apparently. Anyway, if you hit that, that would be awesome. awesome. But in addition, feel free to subscribe here on our YouTube for more amazing, only free games content just like this one. And every Sunday night, we do test out free games on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/pigonpc in 4K. And we go live around 9 p.m. on Sundays, where we test out 2 free VR games every single week. All right, guys, that's all I've got for you this time. So until next time, have an ultimate day. Tracy, cut it!